All right, cyber traders, good morning and welcome on back to close out our week here this Friday, February 25th. Great to see Deb, Ray, Norman, Mark, and all of us otherwise live inside the cyber group room. Great to see all of us live there. Great to see all of us live on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. Welcome on back. We have Yehuda, we have Mike, we have Ron, Will, loud and clear from all of us at least. Perfect. Good to go across both ends, it seems. So, folks, let's jump right to it. I would normally say that we have a lot to talk about, and we could have a lot to talk about, but I'd rather just go right through the top percent gainers and losers lists here for this Friday morning. A little slow out there so far. We ended up seeing the SPY begin to move up again, so that's good to see. Nice little recovery once more. So some stocks like AMC were moving up earlier, the Neo trade, and then of course, well, we have UUU on the screen here, which we'll certainly jump to in a moment. But the YNDX, right, one of the Russia stocks, ended up making a big squeeze up heading into the end of yesterday and tried to squeeze up once more this morning. So, hey, it ended up making a nice little run prior to 8 o'clock today from like 22 up to near 26. As you could see, it just made a lower high off of roughly 25 and 25.50. I'm pulling back now. So this one right away, we'll have to just put back on our watch list for the morning. I'd mentioned this yesterday. At this point now, for this exact stock, YNDX, with everything unfortunately happening within today's world, Russia, Ukraine, the surrounding nations, just to say, this stock is going to be incredibly volatile. And for us here in the cyber group room, that presents an opportunity. That's not the nicest thing to say. Obviously, we don't like we don't want to root on disaster in the world, right? But disaster and unfortunate things in life do spring up some opportunity elsewhere. And here in the stock market, a stock like YNDX that got clipped, from last week from 50 down to $15 yesterday, this thing is going to squeeze back up at some point. And not to say a full-fledged recovery, but what we would call a dead cat bounce. And actually, really quick, just to segue right into the phase 2 curriculum today for students like Ray, Ron, Will, Yehuda, Mike, Glenn, all of us otherwise, folks, keep in mind we have the phase 2 course curriculum continuing on today. And of course, we'll be talking all about gap fills and the dead cat bounce, the DCB. So we'll talk about this exact trade, actually, the YNDX in class. But before we begin class, we'll look to try and trade it. So yeah, definitely the YNDX we'll put back on our morning watch list here for the open. All right, we'll go through some of the other side list stocks that we ended up trading from yesterday. I want to just show this on the 1 minute chart. It shows it on the 5, but you could just see the dead cat bounce, the run up that we had from yesterday early afternoon, basically from 15.50, moved up like 7.5, 8 points into the close. Insane, right? That's exactly what we hope to see out of a stock that had dropped off as much as the YNDX. Not all of them come back though, right? And really quick, just not to go too often into a tangent, but a stock like KOD, you can clearly see the stock hasn't come back yet, right? So it's something that we hope for, but we don't always get, right? So you don't want to like turn a day trade into a swing trade with that in mind. For the case of YNDX, it looks like it made a higher high this morning, and we'll see if it can keep going. Let's jump back to the UUU though, triple U. Triple G, Triple H, Triple U. We have Triple U here, ended up making a nice set of higher lows, but it failed to break a higher high so far, right? It's actually filling in sideways a bit right now. I don't have the news out specifically on UUU, but I do see it in the stock company name. It seems like it's a security stock, defense stock perhaps. So really quick, let's just take a look here. UUU, Universal Security Instruments shares trading higher after the company reported a joint merger deal with Reality. Infinite Reality. I don't know if they're a publicly traded company, but looks like a joint merger with another company there. All right, well, hey, either way, we're going to trade this stock. We're going to put it on our watch list for the market open today. Let me just break out level 4. I'll break out book map really quickly, folks. I'll show you what the order book, the heat map looks like on this trade. So looking at level 4, it looks like we ended up seeing some buying early pre-market prior to 8 o'clock off of 420. This iceberg order on the ask, prior to it breaking through it, it was acting as resistance. And it continued to act as resistance after, unfortunately. So that's where I was saying it was making a set of higher lows, but failed to break a higher high. So for right now, I would really keep a keen eye on that $4.20 target or mark. Once the market opens up, the more buying we have off that price, then I'm led to believe it's going to, make a move up to the 450 or 470 or perhaps even $5 up here. But there is a nice stack of orders though that it has to break through in order to get up to 5. So let's concern ourselves with 420 first, then from there 450. All right. From Kelly, really quick, and I could tell this is just one of us here in the chat board, so just give me a quick moment. So if there's any audio issue, folks, always just try and log out, log back in yourself first for all of us inside the cyber group. I'll know if it's me. Trust me, I'll know if it's me. You'll let me know if it's me. That's for sure. I'll get like 10 different messages saying, like yesterday when I first started the meeting, I got a couple of us saying radio music was on, right? There we go. Perfect. All right. So Kelly's good to go here. The UUU we'll put on our watch list alongside the YNDX trade into the open. All right. So, folks, let's hop to it. We'll go right from top to bottom here. Otherwise, the KAR trade, car, not car, but car, ended up making a nice pop in the after hours. Trying to move back on up this morning. I'll check the news out for this stock really quick. We got a little time, so just out of curiosity, just want to see why the stock's up 68%. So it looks like Car Auction Services trading higher after the company agreed to sell its ADESA US physical auction business to Carvana for $2.2 billion. Wow, that's pretty interesting. So Carvana basically bought out their business. It doesn't say like an acquisition of the company, which is interesting. So I don't know if it's like a real, like buyout type of deal. It just says that Carvana, I think Carvana is CAR, if I'm not mistaken, or forgot Carvana's ticker. We'll jump to in a second if anyone here has it, but it's just to say at least. I don't know if this is a true buyout or not. CVNA from Mark. Appreciate that, Mark. CVNA. I was thinking CVA. Yeah, Carvana a little expensive as a whole here. KAR, we'll put on our watch list just because I feel like it's not like a full-fledged buyout where we would know if it's like a actual buyout where it shows the price per share transaction that it was bought out at. The stock would be really flat into the open, right? This is a little flat, but I feel like there could be a little momentum into this stock for the morning, so put this on our watch list. All right. So YNDX is a Russia affiliated stock. They do business in Russia and the surrounding countries, right? I think they're hosted in the Netherlands, we found out yesterday. But I bring that up because RUSL is not a company, but it's a Russia ETF, Russia triple leveraged ETF. You could say it's similar to like, in essence, like a QQQ type of deal, or otherwise, though, let's just to say, like, when this begins to drop off, perhaps an inverse Russia ETF triple leverage would look to make a sharp move up, which, I don't know if there is any out there, across the ARCA exchange, but just to say, RUSL for right now, it's an ETF for anyone here that trades ETFs pretty frequently. If you do well in UVXY, and then I'm sure you'll be more particular about this one here. I'll slip it on the watch list for you folks there. For anyone that is inexperienced with trading ETFs in general, I'll just mention this, folks. Don't trade them, please, if you're inexperienced, that is, because you can't apply level 3. You really can't apply our trading strategy that we teach throughout our whole curriculum on an ETF like this. You could use charting, you could use indicators, you could use other strategies that you may have, but with level 3, with reading the order flow, it is much more difficult. So I'd rather you try and follow something that's a little bit easier to follow. You catch my drift? So yeah, RUSL, for those of us that do well in the ETFs, we'll put it on the watch list for them. It's up near 38%. Chuck picking up a short on YNDX just now, picking up 17. Nice catch from Chuck. All right, let's keep it going here, folks. We got top 3 on the gainers list so far. You got far-fetched, FTCH. I always get this confused with what is it, like Abercrombie and Fitch? Abercrombie and Fitch, FTCH. But this one here, it ended up making a nice pop in the after hours. It's just really flat here. I don't know. This like kind of looks more like a buyout to me. Started to move up here a bit, but let's see. All right, looks like better than expected Q4 EPS results. Morgan Stanley maintains out overweight, but they lower the price target on this trade to 56. $56 price target. They lowered it to, what was that beforehand? Geez. For right now, though, far-fetched. I mean, hey, it's trading enough volume in pre-market. It's up enough. It's probably going to have a thinner order book, but it's hard to not put this on our watch list here for the open. And perhaps you could say the same thing on this CYRN, which I know is now beginning to move back up. We saw this begin to break below this trend line I put up from pre-market after hours yesterday, but it just started to make the slingshot back above it, it seems. So this is back in good standing for us here, the CYRN. Definitely a pretty volatile stock. So if I go back on the daily chart here, you could just see, looking at the trend back from the last year, year and a half, for any one of these big days where it spiked up, made a big move, it's not a swing trade, folks. It's not a swing trade, right? History has a tendency to repeat itself. Just remember that. So, yeah, as a day trade, absolutely. CYRN for right now, we'll put on our list here. Man, I feel like this is going to be like a classic Josh 25-30 stock watch list. And I haven't had one of those in a while, but back in the day, it was a lot more free to add a lot of stocks to our list. I realized just, from students I spoke to and my own self, just you can't follow that much at once, folks. So I try and really limit the watch list down to like a group of 8, 10, maybe 12, but really not much more than that. YNDX, obviously, this one's already on our list. So, Chuck picked up a nice little trade on the short. All right, let's see what else we got here, folks. CISO. Yeah, yeah. It's up 17 and a half. It's trading 1 million shares. It's moving back up a bit here. You can kind of say it's like the same thing as CYRN. This is where I become a little picky. Let's just see what else is out there first. I'll write this one down on the side. We'll come back to it perhaps at the end. RSX. Up, it's another ETF, another Russia ETF here, like the RUSL. I'll put the RUSL on the list. This is another ETF though, just for anyone interested. Um, all right, I'm sure there's still a decent amount that's up that 5% plus. So if there are any folks from your side list that look good, type it in the chat board. Let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to hop on over to the losers list here. BXRX. I don't know. You tell me. It doesn't seem like this thing's going to be coming back anytime soon, right? So, it's really flat. I mean, it's down big. If we end up seeing the stock make a squeeze shortly after the open, then we'll try and flip over to it a bit and react more to it. But, it just looks really flat. So if history has a tendency to repeat itself, I don't know how much we're going to be exactly getting on that BXRX. LPSN, you could say the same thing on. Essentially, this one's more expensive. So perhaps there's a bit of a range here in terms of just like a, 50-cent move here, dollar move perhaps. It is shortable. So unlike the BXRX, if this does begin to break lower once the market opens, then hey, this could be a pretty good short opportunity, right? That's where I'd be, a little bit more interested in this LPSN. So I'll put this on our list kind of towards the middle, towards the bottom here. We'll make the cut though. A couple other shortable stocks here. OPK, OPCO Health. We ended up seeing this stock make a big move back in the beginning of the pandemic, probably like April, May time, I think. Just more so with an antibody testing kit company. Looks like they took a bit of a drop in the after hours. They're shortable, but spotty chart pre-market. In fact, it looks like just the majority of the volume traded across the whole pre-market came across these two prints alone. So, aside from the 71,000 shares filled here, it's trading about 50,000 otherwise. Not really doing it for me here for Friday. Givo, we have Open, OPEN, which we saw make a bit of a move yesterday prior to, I think it was earnings announcements heading into the close. Let me just double check on that for OPEN, Open Door Technologies. Looks like they ended up reporting quarter four earnings results. I don't know if there's any guidance slipped into that or not. I don't see any, but otherwise they ended up posting bad earnings. So led to a bit of a drop off throughout the after hours. Then otherwise, it looks spotty in pre-market here this morning, but it's down over 7%. Again, much like the LPSN trade, it is shortable. So this one I feel like will actually be even more liquid than LPSN. So I'm definitely open, no pun intended, honestly, to putting Open on our watch list. I really did not mean for that to come out like that. All right, folks, what else you got for me? Anything else? Brian calling out that CISO. Yeah, that was the one we jumped back to. Chuck says, Oxy, just a quick reminder on that weird halt from yesterday. Yeah, that's right. Though, for a $39 stock, when it reopened up, it only made like a 50-cent move. So it's not really proving itself right now, Chuck. I'd rather follow the stocks that are already on the list here so far. Good side list stock, though, just in case. The CISO would be the one for me, folks. So let me just go through the other side list stocks here before we close up. We have the Neo trade, which looks very tradable, extremely tradable today. I mean, this looks just like regular session trading for Neo here. It's not spotty at all. Ended up making a nice trend and move up earlier from 2150 up to 2190 and pulled back. So hey, this could easily be on our side list. You could put any one of these pretty much on our side list, so to say. A stock like Ford ended up moving up earlier after 8 o'clock, but pulling back. Palantir, this one's also trading a ton of shares right now, including right now, folks. You see it sticks out like a freaking sore thumb. A 418,000 share. It's a print in the black, so it's a negotiated transaction. So I don't want to say if it's a sell print confirmed, but it's at 11.90, right? $11.90. It's a 418,000 share transaction that just got filled. I'll be honest, this is kind of normal for Palantir. If you're sitting here thinking like this is like a once in a lifetime print in pre-market, hey, this is definitely big, but I've seen a bunch of these bigger transactions pop up on Palantir in the past. I mean, more so throughout the regular session, but yeah, pre-market, this is kind of big. It's decent. So hey, we can keep this on our side list for right now. I'm not too keen to put this on the special list just yet, but hey, whether it be Palantir, Neo, and AMC, which I think from TradeStation is shortable today, is hard to borrow today, as the HB tag slapped to it here. So just check to see if you can get shares to short on AMC here going into the open. Yehuda asking, how do you see that? Well, I just showed it. It was on time and sales. Time and sales. We have a whole 3 classes talking about time and sales throughout the phase 1 and 2 course. We'll be doing that more for April. We did that recently, though, back in December, though, Yehuda. December classes, we talked all about the tape, the time and sales. All right, it could be a SoFi, it could be an airline type of stock. So for right now, all of those we'll kind of keep on the side list, folks. The CISO, I'll put on the main list here. It's still kind of inching up for right now. And with that, I'm a little more interested in it. So we'll make the cut here for CISO. All right, folks, we're going to call it a morning for right now. Maybe not for some of us on social media. Hey, if you wanted to keep the commentary going throughout this morning, feel more than free to join us inside our live trading chat room, the Cyber Group room. Just go right down to the link on the blue banner below the stream there to get yourself started. But for members and students already there, like Chuck, Michael, Yehuda, we have Gary, Kevin, Andrea, Will, Rod, Norman, all of us otherwise, folks, right? I'm going to be back on the mic coming up pretty shortly in the next 12 or 13 minutes to get things started for the opening bell. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.